We're joined on the phone today by WWE superstar Natalya Neidhart, as WWE Raw is coming to the Xcel Energy Center December 13th. Hey, Natalya, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, thank you for being on. I appreciate it. And I know we have WWE Raw coming to the Xcel Energy Center here in St. Paul, December 13th. I know you're with SmackDown these days, but how has it been for you, overall, kind of getting back on the road here in front of crowds after all the weirdness in the past 2 years?
Yeah, it's exciting to be back with fans. We really, it's really, really cool to be back with our WWE fans, and especially after a year of not being with fans. It's just really great to be back. It's something I never took for granted, and I never will take it for granted ever again. I mean, it's something that we all appreciate, having that live crowd in attendance. So it's very cool.
I mean, you've been a constant in WWE as far as women's wrestling goes. I can't think of any other women really who have been wrestling, consistently as long as you have, in as many years. And, it's amazing, the longevity and, the schedule, the travel, and, talking to guys like me all the time. It's definitely not a job a lot of people could handle.
Yeah, for me, it's been a real testament to, I love what I do. I'm passionate about WWE, and I'm durable, reliable, consistent, dependable, and passionate. And I love the women I work with. I love the men and women I work with, and I have fun. And I think when you have fun, you don't realize how much you do, because when you're having fun at your job, you just do it, and it doesn't really feel like a job.
Well, I know women's wrestling has come a long way in the WWE, especially in the last 10 years or so. Who are some of the women wrestling now maybe you haven't worked with yet that you'd like to mix it up with?
Ooh, I would love to get in the ring with Xia Li, Toni Storm, Aaliyah. Somebody that I really want to have a rivalry with in WWE, a feud, a storyline. Obviously, Sasha Banks. I think she's very, very talented. I'm looking forward to Toni Storm becoming the new SmackDown Women's Champion, and I definitely think it's going to happen. So when Toni Storm wins the SmackDown Women's Championship, I plan on beating her for that.
Awesome. And you and I are the same age, and I can't imagine growing up surrounded by, the wrestlers I watched on TV every Saturday. When did you realize the things that you probably thought maybe were normal as a kid definitely weren't for most kids?
Well, we had a wrestling ring in our backyard. We had the dungeon in my grandfather's basement, and we were surrounded by greatness. We were surrounded. Andre the Giant was a guest in our family's home many times, and just had so many unique characters in and out of my grandfather's home. And my dad is a WWE Hall of Famer. My uncles are Hall of Famers. My grandfather's a WWE Hall of Famer. So for me, I've been so appreciative and grateful of the people that came before me and that paved the road that I'm now blazing. And I'm now blazing it for women to do this. So it's cool to be the first female in my family doing it, but I am very grateful for everything that my family did, everything my uncles did to set me up to where I'm at today, so that I can be inspired to be the best that I can be and inspire women around the world to reach for their dreams.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm picturing, the kind of stuff that maybe might have went on as you were growing up. You mentioned Andre the Giant hanging out at the house. I imagine maybe Rick Rude or Rick Martel stopping by for breakfast, or, maybe Bad News Brown at Show and Tell, some of that kind of stuff happening. Yeah,
Brutus Beefcake, Rick Rude, Macho Man, Randy Savage, Hawk and Animal. Obviously, them are the Road Warriors. So many people came over to our house. My dad was very popular, and I remember Miss Elizabeth being over at our house and just being in awe of how beautiful Miss Elizabeth was.
Well, and of course, you mentioned your dad, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. How was that, having him for a dad? He was always amped up on TV, but I imagine he probably turned a lot of that off when he was at home.
Yeah, my dad was such a good dad. When he was gone 300 days a year, but when he was home, he was very focused on being a parent, which I truly appreciate to this day, because I know how hard the job is.
And I know you usually hear most wrestlers, they try to discourage their kids from getting into the wrestling business. I'm guessing in your case, being part of the Hart family, that probably was quite the opposite for you.
Well, my dad didn't really want me being a part of it, because when I was getting into it, there weren't a lot of women in it. There just started to be Trish Stratus and Lita and Molly Holly and Victoria and Jazz, but there weren't a lot of women doing it. So my dad was like, no, it's very much a male-driven sport. Now there's tons of women in it. Women are main eventing Raw, SmackDown, WrestleManias. We're taking over. So it's something that my dad ended up becoming my biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, I would encourage the listeners out there, maybe if you haven't given wrestling a chance as of late, especially women's wrestling, it's It's definitely a lot different now than it was, even back in the 90s when women were kind of, pillow fights and underwear and that kind of thing. It's definitely not that anymore.
No, the women are really a huge part of our show, and they're such solid competitors. So if you're going to Raw and you're going to be at that show, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be, two women on Raw that I think are incredible are Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. And that'll be exciting for you guys to watch them compete.
Well, and you've done so much in your career already. What are you hoping to accomplish maybe in wrestling before you hang it up?
Ooh, well, I'm never hanging it up. I'm going to wrestle until I'm dead. So, but things I want to do, I do want to win the Raw Women's Championship so I can become a Grand Slam champion in WWE. And there's so many women that I want to compete against. I named them earlier, but Xia Li, Toni Storm, Aaliyah, Io Shirai, Indy Hartwell, Raquel. There's just so many women that I want to work with. So I want to continue to make magic. But in WWE, it's like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave.
Well, with that being said, if you could work with anyone from the past, who would it be? Could you pick maybe a name or two?
I would work with Beth Phoenix. I would definitely love to challenge Beth Phoenix to a one-on-one match, a cage match.
Well, and I know she's married to Edge, and of course he's back in wrestling now, so maybe that could be a possibility. I could see that happening.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. She's really the one that I want to wrestle from the past. So.
Awesome. Well, again, WWE Raw is coming to the Excel Energy Center in St. Paul here on December 13th. And again, I've been watching you for a long time, and as I mentioned, you and I are the same age, so it's great to be watching some people, kind of my peers, not wrestling wise, but just knowing that you're out there and still getting it done. And
yeah, still trekking along. So
definitely. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate your time, and I if I'm not in St. Paul, I definitely will be there with you in spirit.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
You never know. I might jump the rails and challenge Becky Lynch for the championship. So you never know.
Well, WrestleMania is around the corner here, so that might be a good way to set things up.
You never know. Thank you so much, though. I really appreciate your time.
All right, I appreciate yours. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome.
And again, that was Natalya Neidhart from the WWE, as we'll see a WWE Raw coming to the Excel Energy Center in St. Paul on December 13th.